Guys, thank you so much for being here. There's only a few of you. I know a few more will be popping in here shortly. We had like 27 RSVP for today. This is Underground Live, where we just hop right in, skip all the small talk, and just start talking some gold nuggets, really what's working. In this instance, it's going to be SMS, and realistically, it's going to be a few of your guys' products, because that's what I use a lot in my business. That's what I really know. That's what I trust, and it's good to have you guys here. So just introduce yourself really quickly in case other people on here don't know you.
So I'm Jesse, and then I'm one of the owners of Batch, and then this is Annie, and she is one of the other, and the third one is working on systems and processes, as he always does.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so we met like almost like a year ago now at Investor Fuel, when you guys were there like as a sponsor. I think that was your first one too, when you and Eva were there?
Yes, that was our first one.
Nice, awesome. And it's just been really cool to see your guys' growth. And honestly, I'm a huge Batch fanboy, but it's really been like your guys' products that have like really helped facilitate a lot of our growth and things like that, just because you've been there as a resource. And it's just like very obvious that your knowledge is deep and you're able to actually help me. And guys, Jesse is a mentor to me. He's been a mentor probably since the day I met him. He's just been able to give me some really good info on really how to move the needle forward in our business. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? You can have a lot of tips and tricks, but if I can move the needle forward on the revenue that we keep in our pocket, deals, that's what matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so talk about just a little bit about your guys' vision on SMS, what you guys are seeing in the Phoenix market, because as I've told a lot of other people, the Phoenix market is just crazy. It's not like anything we have out here east. It's nothing like in the Midwest. What do you guys see in terms of really when it comes to wholesaling deals, like, you know, some of the big players and the volume, and talk about some of those kinds of things?
So, okay, so as far as like the wholesale side goes, I don't think I don't think that there's a more competitive market than Phoenix, to be honest. And out here, everyone that we know, at least, like, they're doing deals. We're competing directly with each other, but we're also all getting deals. So it's obviously all working. The one thing is that I think we've always discussed is a lot of people always want to like figure out like what's the best process. It's different for every person. But also the big thing that is, it's timing. It's always timing. It's timing with the seller. And that's kind of, I think, what differentiates the people that are successful is because of the consistency, because they keep hitting, whether it's SMS, RBM, and cold call. Like, we do all three of those. And we're just very consistent with hitting the sellers consistently. And I think that's what's getting us deals right now.
Nice. So are you guys really just taking your core list and then rotating it through? So like RVM 1 week and then SMS the next week, or what's your guys' process like that?
So we have our huge list that we do that with, but then on top of that, we also niche down. We do a lot of niche.
Lead stacking. A
lot of niche things, yes. And for us to be able to do that, we lead stack. So we have right now, actually, I just pulled a list this morning, and we have people that are on 7+ lists, and it's a vacant property. It's like 200 people, but these people are on 7 lists. You know their homes are vacant, and you know that distress pain point is really high. So the chances of them selling is pretty good. We just have to be in front of them when it's their time, when they need us.
And so what is kind of your theory on how often you think you should touch them, especially with different channels?
Again, depends on the niche market, and depends on your niche list. If it's a broad list like we have, like the first, like our main one that is constantly going out, that's once a month that we hit them with SMS, RBM, and cold call. But the niche ones, I will go down as far as a week. Like every week I will hit the same list. Like our foreclosures, we're doing once a week.
Texting and RBM?
Texting and RBM. And on top of that, just doing RBM, because we do RBM when they call in, they go to a voicemail. But on top of that, now we've put in live RBM. So there's a small niche that gets dropped on a daily basis. We have about 200 calls dropped on a daily basis, but then gets answered in-house.
Live.
And yeah, it gets live answered.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We just started toying around with that a little bit. It can be challenging logistically, and then the call flows, like I messed them all up. So actually it went back in and like really untangled me. And man, you should see the offer board that we have going now. It's just gone off the charts since she's taken over marketing, because it's taking away the mind share that I have to put toward it, right? I can focus on closing deals more. But that's really amazing. Okay, so let's zoom into like SMS really quick now. That really like popped onto the scene as far as into my world just about a year ago. But you guys have been doing it like a little bit longer, from what I understand.
I've been doing it for over 3 years.
Yeah.
You've been texting for over 3 years?
Yeah, it used to be very easy. Just send it out and get deals. It was pretty simple once upon a time.
And so was it all like Roar back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, that was the only mass texting platform that was out there was Roar. And I was lucky enough to be an earlier adopter. A lot of people hit it as long as they could.
Yep.
But, you know, now it's gotten to where, as Annie's saying, is, you know, we're niching down on lists, and then we're treating, you know, our stacked lists completely differently from a generic list, and having her get intimate enough to where even with the RVM, where we're having live calls because it's such a niche list, it's only a few hundred people a day that we're targeting. But if one of those persons calls back, they're going to be highly motivated to sell. It's just a brilliant strategy that she put together.
That's awesome. So with that RVM, are you pushing them through like an IVR menu on the way back in, or how does that work?
I don't personally like it. I like the fact that it seems like, and you're gonna get different feedback, I think, from different people.
Sure.
Personally, I like to be the small mom and pop shop on the live RVMs. Like the voicemail that we leave is we're looking at picking up rental properties, and we do close on them ourselves as well. So that's kind of great for us. But having the seller go through press 1, press 2, press 3, like I literally just spent an hour yelling at the bank by saying operator, like customer service. So that's not something I want to put our sellers through.
Yeah, that's good. So when you drop the voicemail out, they can just ring you right back and it goes to the sales floor.
It goes directly to our leads manager.
Wow, really cool. Okay, that's awesome. And talk a little bit about what does your call flow look like for when you guys are sending texts? Are you getting many calls back in from that?
So we don't have those turned on right now. If they are calling in, they're going directly to voicemail. We don't have that up and running only because we're sending about 2,000 text messages a day, and my acquisition can't handle 2,000 text messages a day. So our lead manager goes in the back end and starts filtering out those voicemails and only calls back people that are still qualified. Very
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I learned the lesson kind of a hard way over the past 2 months. I spent my bill for the call center last month was just like $950, and it was like over 90% calling back from text out. And people, I listened to most of the calls, and they were just saying stuff like, "Hey, why are you texting me?" And they never even answered, but they would call up and just waste our minutes.
Yeah.
So I turned it off like you, and I think that was a smart move for now.
So yeah, so doing that, send them to a recording, just kind of like the RVMs, like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I missed your call. On the phone with the client, leave your name, number, and property address." And then if you're trying to just get really, really niche, like that niche of 100 that you're doing, send 10 text messages out, like every hour if you want to do, and then that way your lead manager, your acquisition manager can keep up with the influx of calls. Yeah, that's really good. Okay. Speaking of RVM, I use your guys' platform. I've always gotten really good deliverability, and I've gotten, the important thing is response, right? So I've always gotten a good amount of response back in. It's not uncommon for me to get like 10% calls back within 30 minutes of it dropping. And then we're getting about 1 to 1.5% to leave voicemails. So of those voicemails, probably 3 and 4 are not interested, but still it's a very good way to really, it's a great marketing channel. And actually right now I have a campaign about to go out for agents for an off-market property. So we can't list them on the MLS here, but that doesn't mean use the MLS to get a bunch of agents to feed me buyers, right? So that's what I'm using today. That's great. Yeah, definitely. So you were talking about Roar before, Jesse. I know that Roar has like had, its time. It was good for a while, and I haven't heard good things about it recently. And actually at this past Fuel, our mutual friend Dylan Burnett talked about sending like 300,000 to 400,000 messages, and he wasn't sure about the deliverability, but he got like almost no leads out of him. And so like, why is Roar, why'd that stop working?
So I can't speak on behalf of Roar, but what I've heard is I think they have so many people sending messages. I think something along the lines of the carriers are blocking any numbers coming from them is, I think, what might have happened. But I don't completely know. And then, as I said, sending mass messages, carriers have gotten smarter now. So you have to have a more creative way, which we've created in our batch leads and our SMS in there, to where we're using multiple carriers. We're not abusing it to where we're sending too many at a time. And you can't, because you got to click to send. So, the name of the game now is, deliverability, and then also response rate. And we're delivering both of those right now to where us and other people are being highly successful on how much, the cost per deal is reasonably low for ourselves and people that are using our platform.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen that as well. And I think, but on the opposite end of that spectrum, I think that accessibility has really contributed to people's lists just getting, mass called and mass texted now. So everyone's like secret list now is getting blown up. I know a lot of people here in Baltimore. I was the first one using Sherpa, and I see Anil here. But there were several people like now that I know that are asking me like, how do you Sherpa? And so I know there's lots of people in my market versus even 3 months ago.
Yeah. Everyone's starting to text, and everyone's seeing the magic that it can create, the leads that it does generate, the contracts that you can get, but it's doing it the right way. And I think like what we have is, it allows us as investors to be more intimate, more responsive with those sellers. So someone's asking a question.
Question for you, Jesse. Thoughts on Slingshot? I think Pace and Steve trying to use it. Trying to blow up their secret tools.
So Slingshot, my friend owns it, and I don't want to get into it. I don't want to do any type of bashing, but they're having some issues too right now, and that's all I could say.
Okay. And so this has been like kind of a crazy week for all of us who have been texting, because Sherpa was down and launch control was down, and it wasn't anything to do with those platforms, guys. It was something on the carrier level that got flagged. Do you guys have any idea like what that was, like why it went out? Or
there's a problem with the carrier. They only use one carrier. Our system, we have 4, and I believe we're bringing on 5 carriers, to where if any problem happens with one carrier, it's not going to affect all of your phone numbers. So we have a lot of safety stops put in place to make sure that nothing like this would happen. And Evo put those in place before this happened too. So it's funny that he was already like, hey, something could happen potentially if like a carrier goes down or some deliverability thing happens with a carrier to, like a Twilio to AT&T or something like that, to where he's just kind of thought ahead and mapped it out to where we want to make sure our users are always able to use our system.
Dude, Evo is like a mad scientist. It's really crazy.
I know.
But he is a mad scientist, not like.
We are going to have Evo on another call in the future, guys. I'd be really excited to speak with him as well. Just super smart dude, just like you guys are. Talk about a little bit. You made a post the other day about, there were like, I don't know, you put like 3 or 5 phrases to like kind of avoid, and you said they came down from somewhere else. Tell everyone like kind of a few phrases to not say when you're texting, something that might get you flagged.
I could pull it up, and that's actually Aaron Pimpus out of Launch Control. He has like his internal database, and he's seeing stuff that got flagged. So I was lucky enough to get that information from him and share that with our users as well, because it's across the board for all of us. Let me pull it up real quick. But
shout out to Aaron, also in Investor Fuel.
Absolutely.
Really cool guy with Launch Control.
So I have noticed in public records or elsewhere, sorry for the random text. I hope I have the right person, or out of the blue. If you have any of that type of those keywords in your templates right now, take them out, because they're not being delivered.
That's really good. Out of the blue. I don't know if it originated from John Martinez or not, but it came
probably.
Right. It came from his scripts a while back. And I remember when I first got Beast Mode, it was built in. A lady had a voice and she said, hey, I know this call's kind of out of the blue. And that was like 2.5 years ago. And so it just like blew up everyone's spot. So it's just getting flagged now, guys. So
you have to be ahead. Once you hear everybody doing something and it's a common phrase, you should probably stop using that phrase, because once it gets to where everybody's saying something, you need to change your text or your cold call script, because if everybody's using the same script, then you're not differentiating yourself from the masses. And that's something that needs to be done, especially when it comes to, telecommunication marketing.
Yeah, definitely. So I did something kind of dirty in a good way. This is something different that I've done on RVM that's worked really well, and something on SMS has actually worked well too. I haven't done much direct mail, but I'll call them and leave a voicemail and say, hey, this is Josh. I know we're supposed to touch base. I sent you that pink postcard in the mail a while back. And dude, so people will call back, or blue postcard or whatever it is. And people out here are getting so many postcards, I'm sure just like where you guys are at too, that they then associate me with that postcard and think it's not a cold random call, right? So there's a little bit of a basis between us, and they start to open up a little bit. So that's been an interesting little like tweak that I've tried.
That's pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's interesting.
I call it the free mail funnel. I've never told anyone before. All right, guys, we talked about a few of those things that's like not working. In terms of what is working, what do you think, or maybe some best practices? You don't have to open up any like deep, dark secrets, but what are some best practices that maybe other people don't know? Because I've seen people, honestly, that have deliverability in the 50s and 60s, and that's pretty bad. Like, I think it should be over 90. I think our response time should be under 10 minutes on average, and I really don't want to see it go above that in any certain case, but that's what I tell our VA. What do you guys see?
Yeah, I go. So deliverability, Evo told me over 90 is great. If it drops below 85, your numbers are spammed or have an issue. So that's a great baseline to see if your deliverability starts dropping below that, there's some type of issue. And then for best practices, you could probably, just touched on it, is like niching down the list and making sure you're going, like stacking your list and going after them, because it's a timing thing, and that's your highest chance of having the best timing. And I think that's something she's been great at putting together is, you taking your time and actually diving into your list and not being lazy and just sending messages to everybody. It's you have to work to get deals these days. It's just not simple like it once was.
I would also like add on, like if for instance, like we market to like vacant properties, then like I'll take it to as far as like, which we get like really good and really bad responses for. But like they're pretty like just direct, like, hey, I noticed that your property is vacant. I drove by, noticed that your property is vacant, wondering if you're interested in selling it. So we'll put in the property address, obviously, when we're texting. So we've had like really good responses, or like really bad. There's like nothing in between. So it's really easy to weed those people out. But then again, I go in a different campaign, and the ones that we're not already talking to, I'll start talking to them like, hey, I'm looking to pick up a property as a rental, and I know that it is still a vacant property, but I'm not calling them out on it. If they're a landlord, I'll say like, hey, we're looking for a rental property in the neighborhood. Do you have one, or know anyone that does have one? Just being specific to your list.
Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, that's good info right there. I've played around with a little bit of that before, but haven't really been too consistent, to be honest. So that's a good tip right there, guys. In terms of like, one thing I struggled with for a while with marketing was I would toil in it and spend a lot of time in it, A, but then B, I would play with it like from week to week to week, and I would be turning too many knobs and adjusting too many things. And so now we're trying to get to Jesse, on your suggestion a while back, we're trying to get to once a month marketing planning, where we sit and plan everything with one list. We set up our campaigns, everything is tasked out. And then so basically we can talk about it once a month, and then we can check in on campaigns on whatever, sort of timeline that we want to, but really it's like set it and forget it for the entire month. Is that kind of your approach on it?
Yeah, I think you should do it once a month if you can. Obviously, adjust if something's wrong or you see triggers that aren't working. But and then you identify. I would do a quarterly meeting to where you really go over your whole entire marketing plan for those 3 months, and then put a whole new plan together of what you want your marketing to look like, and then do that once a month thing all over again.
Okay, very cool. And I know you guys are like, when we first talked, Jesse, you kind of blew my mind, because I was like, dude, how do I get to $100,000 a month? And you're like, well, how much are you spending in marketing? And I was like, oh, it's like, $5-6 grand a month. And you're like, you're going to get 5X on it. So you're probably making what, like 25-30 grand? And I was like, yeah, we just made like 30 grand last month. And you're like, there you go. Just increase your marketing and you're going to be 5X. So go spend 20 grand, right? Is what you told me. Go spend 20 grand in marketing, like smartly. And then you're going to get to that point. So tell me a little bit about how you guys are measuring KPIs, or kind of reverse engineering the amount of marketing that you're doing to the amount of deals that you would like to do.
So I think that question is a little bit it's tricky for us to answer that at this point, because of what's happening, and we're seeing at least in our market, is we're taking a lot of properties down. We're doing, like right now, I think we have 8 total deals on the board that are flips that we currently have, in addition to 3 others that we're closing this week. So it's not something that I can, and we take it down in different aspects of like our companies. We will never close out a property in our wholesale company.
Sure.
For liability reasons. But so that's a little bit difficult for us to answer. But I can tell you, like my marketing budget is set at about $10,000. I go anywhere from like 9 to 12 depending on the month. But like my sweet spot is 10.
Wow. We have a little different cost than other people do.
Absolutely,
obviously.
yeah.
So it's probably 15 to 20, and we're doing 6-figure months consistently. If we would count the stuff we take down as what wholesale spread that we could have sold it for. Like we ripped 2 down that we could have wholesaled for 35 each, and we decided to flip them because we can make 55 each and they're a light remodel. Wow. So that's just, but we still factor that into what would have been because we had sellers at that price point.
Wow. Okay. So 35 to 55, increasing that spread by 20. To be honest, I probably would have taken the wholesale fee, but like, how do you guys make that decision? I know it's obviously a bigger number, but you have to look at holding costs and all that kind of stuff. How do you make that decision?
So normally we wouldn't do that, but it's a cleanup remodel. It's pretty much a wholesale. So if we can make another 20 grand to spend $5,000 and list it on the market, we're not in a situation to where we need, cash to keep investing in the marketing. We have cash set aside for the whole entire year for marketing. So we're able to do those things in our business currently, but this is something we've been doing for a long time and built up and saved a ton of our money to put ourselves in situations like this.
Dude, that's amazing. That's really good. And I know you guys have a lot of money invested into the new construction project, the new development project, right?
No, I raised money for that. We don't have any, or we bought the land, but we're refinancing out of that. So I've been focusing a lot on raising money for those projects.
I just brought that up because obviously you guys have batch skip tracing, you have batch lead stacker, the SMS platform, you guys wholesale, and now you have new development going on. And just kind of like a reminder to everyone out there, even myself, that sometimes we get buried in the small shit so much, right? And you lose that big picture vision. But then you talk to someone like you guys who have so much going on, because it's possible. You have that big ambition, and I love it. I really do.
Well, we have 3 partners that work very well together and divide and conquer very well together. And then we have partners on the development side. We have partners, I guess that's probably the only side we really have partners on. But, leveraging people in a good way. We leverage each other to help each other. The development people that we're partnered with aren't the best money raisers. And that's something that I was able to go do and help with. And then we're combining resources with GCs and, ways to find people to make all those relationships work and make sure we're all happy and successful. And then, we have 51 mobile home unit community I'm doing with Pace Morby. And that was just another good relationship, but we really aren't that involved in that one. We brought the deal, and then he partnered with somebody. So he leveraged somebody, which was a mobile home manufacturer dealer. And then they're helping with the construction side. So it's just not being greedy and everybody giving up a little bit to make everybody happy and leverage each other in the whole. And it just works that way.
Dude, I could go down a whole rabbit hole discussion with you on this, but you remember that first or second time I met you and we sat there and talked and I recorded it for like a while. Because I'm just blown away by the collaborative efforts that you guys have going on. I just think it's really cool. And guys, we only have a few minutes left. We end sharply at 4:30 to respect everyone's time. If you have any questions for Jesse or Anny, please do drop them in. Guys, real quick, we have a few very high-level people here, and then we have a few people I know are just getting into marketing, and that's why they're in the group to really figure out how to best utilize their resources. And so I know that you guys do RVM, cold calling, SMS, obviously stacking. Where if someone's just starting out with just like, just say $2 or $3 grand a month that they can dedicate to marketing, in your opinion, how should they divvy that up? How should they deploy that into different channels?
My go-to channel is always going to be SMS. For many reasons, it's cheap. If you're using our stacker and you're using our SMS platform or SMS that's in there, you're able to stack your list. You're going to be able to pull a list from there. You can skip trace it, and you're doing everything. It's all in one platform, so it's easy for someone that's starting out. You don't have to I remember at least when we started, we were going at like 7 different platforms to do this one task. And it's no longer the case, and you're not paying 7 subscriptions for all these things that you need to get done. And I would say like just the responses that we've been getting and the profits that we've seen just from SMS is definitely where I would like put my, I guess, $2,000 or $3,000 worth of marketing if I'm just starting out.
Like, to elaborate on that, we've had a few campaigns in the last month to where we ran $300 campaigns and got deals out of each of them. So it's there. It's just niching down properly and targeting the right people. And I was like, Annie, how much was our cost for that deal? She's like, $280. And I'm just laughing. It was like a $20,000 spread. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen always, but it's just being highly targeted and really doing it properly and having the right messages out. It all goes together, but we've obviously figured out a way to do something right and then provide the service to where, you know, we have our own Facebook group as well, to where we're always giving tips and tricks of what's working, what's not working, how to best practice our systems. And that's wholesaling houses with batch services. So I know that's a shameless plug, but I got to give it to the guys.
No, absolutely. I'm glad you do. Guys, like I said, I'm a huge batch fanboy just because I think their services are fantastic. But you should definitely join their group. You should definitely use some of their services. Reach out to me or Jesse or anybody if you have questions on it, man, because it's stuff that I use every day in my business and I know it works. On that same note, we just have time for like a couple more things, but on that same note, for someone starting out, where just basic lists, where would you like, or even stacked lists, what would you recommend someone start out with?
If you have one list, I would say go for high equity. At that point, you can then filter out vacants in the lead
and absentees.
And absentee. And the cool thing that I don't know if a lot of people actually know now is we're able to do in-state absentee and out-of-state absentee. And if you're doing out-of-state vacant high equity, so that's pretty much you're getting 3 lists right there with one list that you pulled. So you're niching it down, even though you only had a marketing budget for one.
Yep, 100% agree. I always say start with a high equity list and a zip code you want and do exactly what you just said, because you're utilizing your list and your skip tracing as much as possible with your first list.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And in terms of like follow-up campaigns, are you guys using any SMS or RVM for any sort of follow-up campaigns through any of the platforms?
Right now, we are not. I'm going to say that kind of loosely because our follow-up is our consistency.
Sure.
So even though it doesn't seem always like a follow-up, because I'm not saying like, hey, I just sent you a text. It's just a new time that I'm hitting them, and it looks like it's a cold person reaching out to you every time. So that's our follow-up.
Right, absolutely. That's really good. Okay, cool. Do you guys have any more tips or any other tricks or anything like that, or anything you want to share about your products or anything at all? Just got another like 2 minutes to give a plug real quick if nobody else has questions.
Honestly, I wouldn't even have a plug for us. It's just going to be figure out who you can work with best, find partnerships that you can grow, find people that you can grow with. And I think we all focus so much on like our tools and the things that we do. I think that our networks are very often overlooked, and that's something that we shouldn't ever do. And I think that's why we are able to get to where we are, is because of our network. So that's my plug.
Yeah, I second that. Is the rocket fuel in our business has been collaboration and helping people and people helping us. You as well, you've given me a bunch of great tips. I know I've helped you on the wholesale side, but you've helped us a ton in other ways as well, with supporting us and being a good friend, and giving us a tip today on pink letters. I'm gonna definitely steal that from you and test that out. So I mean, you have a bunch of good stuff because you're always tweaking and testing. So even when I'm giving you some constructive criticism sometimes, like you're always giving me some gold nuggets as well of, man, I didn't think of that, or maybe I should try this way. It's just collaborating together and helping each other.
Yeah, very much. That's just, what I call masterminding. Again, in Think and Grow Rich, there's formal masterminds that we obviously attend. But even this, guys, I consider masterminding. When you get together with a few people and talk about high-level things that you have a common interest in, your minds would explode with the ideas you can come up with sometimes. It's really crazy. And Jesse, I just want to drop one more gold nugget for everyone else, and then we got to go, that you gave me. And that was like, you said, who's selling your deals right now? And I was like, it's me. And you were like, yeah, you should probably hire someone for that. I would hire Dispo maybe before I hired acquisition. when I told you how many deals I had on the board and stuff, and you were like, if you just get a good dispositions guy, and he does one JV deal a month, he's paying for a salary right there. And I was just like, holy shit, never thought of it that way. But dude, I reached out. So just to start doing JV deals, last week I sent 2 texts and 1 email asking if they had deals they need to work on. I got 3 deals on the board that I'm selling right now because of it. So if you guys are looking to start out and you have some active buyers, reach out to people in your network, just very friendly, and say, hey, what can I do to help? You got any deals you need help selling? So thank you for that tip, brother.
Absolutely, homie. I appreciate the love.
Guys, give Batch some, give them some love. Go check out their site. Go check out the Stacker. It's amazing to save you money when you go to skip trace. I've caught myself so many times trying to skip a new record. I imported a list the other day of 2,900 people, and I was about to skip it, and they told me I had already skipped like 2640 or something like that. So all that money right there is I saved because it was in Stacker, and I use the Stacker in a lot of different ways, but really as a database or an organizer, it's been amazing. So 2 thumbs up for me on that.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Hey guys, thank you so much for your time. It is now past 4:30. Thanks for coming to the underground today, guys. And guess what? This elevator is going up. See you later on.
All right, bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Later.